Hey, I don't know about you, but I am ready to make some smoked brisket on the Traeger today. Welcome to the Picky Eater channel. I'm Tony B, and today we're going to be making smoked brisket on the Traeger. It is only my second attempt at this. I've only done it once, but I've done a ton of stuff on this Traeger. I love cooking on the Traeger. Man, I've made everything from, I put a Dutch oven in there and made smoked beef stew. I've made cookies in there. I've made biscuits. I've made just a ton of stuff. But this is only my second attempt at brisket. And I say that a bunch of times, I'm sure, through this video because I'm like, man, I tell you what, I do plan on getting better at this. And I love making some brisket. Now we're starting this video out up here today in my guitar room because I filmed this a couple of days ago and just getting around to editing it. Had a lot of fun doing it, and hopefully you enjoy it. Maybe pick up some tips, make your own brisket. Let's go check it out. All right, so we got some meat here, and this is a beef brisket flat whole. Now, usually I'll go for the whole packer, much bigger and all of that, but this is what I had. Now, the last time I made one of these, I made a very large one that was about the size of my freaking torso over here. I felt like I could have done better, so I thought, well, maybe I'd just go for a smaller one this time. So that is what we're gonna do. Now, again, I've only done this one time, so this is the second time. So first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and cut this thing open. Get her on out of there. Need a nice sharp knife. Now this is already trimmed, really. I mean, I'd probably cut a little bit of this fat off, but for the most part, this thing looks like it's trimmed pretty well. If you don't have one that's already trimmed, you're gonna need to give it some good trim. But yeah, you gotta have a little bit of fat on there. Yeah, this thing is already trimmed. So I'm good with that. If it were not trimmed, you would want to take this fat side down like it is to like about 1/4 of an inch. So I'd say they did a pretty darn good job with that. So what we want to do is give this thing a nice rub. I'll wrap this one up with parchment paper. I'm going to let it sit in that fridge until I put it in the morning. I'm probably going to put it in around 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So you can choose whatever rub you want. I've got some of my own rub that I like to mix in there, but this is from Meat Church. It is the Gospel, and it's an all-purpose rub. I will be using some of that on here. I've got a little bit mixed up here of basically some pink Himalayan salt, a little bit of Cajun seasoning in there, black pepper, and a little bit of paprika. But you're already gonna get a lot of that inside of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle that on there very liberally. With that, I'm actually gonna literally rub that first in there a little bit. Flip her over. It's not just about rubbing, it's also about just pressing it into the meat. Put this back over here. Okay, now I'm gonna get the rest of my stuff on here. And I'll just kind of spread it around. I just want to get this really seasoned up and let it sit on there overnight like that. It's just gonna really feed into that meat and add so much flavor. And hopefully a little bit of bark too. And why not? I've got a little bit of this rub left over from a previous one that has a little bit of brown sugar in it. I'm gonna put a lot of that on there, but why not? I had made this for pork ribs. All right, so I'm gonna put that on like that. And I'll just flip it over. And we'll focus the rest of our attention on the top here. It's great because you can see the meat is starting to sweat a little bit. And that will just get nice and caked on there. Now I like to make sure that I pay a little bit of attention to the edges. Rub those up real good. Oh yes. For me, I just love a lot of black pepper, so I'm just gonna give it a nice little coat of black pepper on top of that. So we'll just do our best to wrap this into a nice little bundle. Yeah, I didn't want the meat to be sitting up against aluminum. So it's against the parchment paper now, so that's okay. So now we can just finish wrapping this with the aluminum foil. All right, I'm gonna let that sit in the fridge overnight, and tomorrow morning we're gonna put that on the Traeger. All right, it's the morning of, and this is really only about 4 pounds, so I didn't need to get up as early as I thought to get this on, but I've got the Traeger started now, and I'm about to make sure that I've got enough pellets in there, the smoke is going, and well, it won't be long now before I'm putting this baby on. Boy, there's just something that's so nice about when it's at this point, when it's smoking away and getting itself up to heat. So, yep, we've got it set for 225 right now. I'm gonna let this thing go a little bit slower and lower. Usually they recommend 275 and about 30 to 60 minutes per pound. I'm gonna go a little bit slower and lower. Now, one thing I did notice is that a lot of times, you know, the pellets are kind of caved down in there, so it's not really reading it properly because that's your reader right there, but there's plenty in there. So I'm not gonna stick my hand in there or anything, but I'll just take this wooden fork here and just kind of push it all towards the center, and I'm going to fill her up. Now, I really like this Texas beef blend, and I like to add a little bit of cherry in there. The beef blend is already in there right now, so I'm just going to add a little bit of cherry on top of that, and then it kind of, you know, starts to swirl around and mixes as it goes in there. Some people like to mix it in advance, but that's what I'm going to do. All right, so that is a good amount of pellets in there. And once this gets up to heat, we're gonna put it on. Okay, so while the smoker is preheating out there, I've got this out of the refrigerator, and let's open her up. Yeah, the parchment paper actually does work really well for this type of thing. I wouldn't want it to sit in aluminum foil all night, but that is looking pretty sweet. You can see it's got plenty of moisture in it, and it, man, that does look good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move this aside real quick, and I'm gonna lay down a layer of rub. And of course, this is the Gospel from Meat Church. I haven't really tried a lot of their stuff, but I'd heard really good things about it, so I bought this one because it was all purpose, so it seems to be pretty darn good. I'm just putting this down here because the bottom of this is gonna be pretty wet, and I would like to just make sure that it has some seasoning on it. Now this right here is Morton Tender Quick. I had to buy it in bulk because I couldn't find it anywhere locally. It's a curing salt basically, and I enjoy using it for jerky and things like that, so we're gonna use it for this as well. Again, this is just gonna be on the bottom of it on the fat side. Just wanted to make sure that everything gets covered. Now that salt is not as salty as straight up salt, so you can see there's plenty of moisture down there. Now we just put it on that, and that is gonna be ready to go out to the grill here in just a couple of minutes. That already looks like it's gonna be just wonderful in flavor. I can't wait, man, I can't wait. Oh yeah. Oh yes, you beautiful little beast. Right there. Now, I'm not going to do this a whole lot because, I don't want to stop the process or anything like that, but it's been about 40 minutes, so I'm just going to take a look at it real quick just to see how she's coming after 40 minutes. If it starts to dry out like that right there, then I'm going to start spraying it with some apple cider. All right, now I'm cooking this at a little bit lower temperature. This is only my second brisket once again, but I know I keep saying that, but I'm cooking at a lower temperature because I just wanted to cook it really slow and really low. So it's been down around 220 degrees all day today. They usually recommend 275 for about 30 to 60 minutes per pound. So yeah, I've been out here every 45 minutes or so spraying it. And right now it's on super smoke, as you can hear. Yeah, because it's just pulsing the smoke in there with the fans. Ah, super smoke, that's good. So I've had it on that for about the last hour. So a total now of about 3 hours. So right now at about 225, let's open her up and take a look. Yeah, she's looking pretty dry. So we're gonna go ahead and get the spray. We're gonna spray it down and we're gonna check the temperature. Now I've just put the apple cider in this little sprayer here, and it makes it real convenient. If I had more meat in here or something, I might want to have a little bit more sturdy sprayer, but just gonna make sure we get it nice and moist. Okay. Now I do have the actual probe that goes with this thing, and it does work great. I'll probably use that once I will use that once I wrap it up. But for now, I just got a standard, meat thermometer. I'll stick it in right here. It's not quite there. It should be up around 165 before I wrap it. Go ahead and close this back up. And now I will take this up to 275 because I want to get this up to the right temperature. Okay, and the super smoke has been canceled. So yeah, I just want to get this thing up to temperature so that, yeah, what I want to do is get it out of there and wrap it in that pink butcher paper. And this is my first time using that too, so I'm pretty excited about that. Should get a nice bark on this thing. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and plug in the probe. All I gotta do is plug that in right there, and the probe is set for 170. At that point, I'll be able to take it out and wrap it in the pink butcher paper. And I put it into the fattest part, the thickest part of the meat right there. All right, so my buddy Steve has stopped by. Now, Steve, you brought me some provisions from Sam's Club, which is very appreciated. But you're about to check out this brisket. It smells good, right?
Oh, it smells wonderful.
Wow, all right,
wonderful.
Well, let's walk over here. By the way, check this out, man. Whale tail. Well, this is, I thought it was a whale tail, but I think it's more of a vertebrae.
Oh.
From a whale's back. Found that on the beach. All right, so let's see. The probe says 165. That's why I want to take it off there and wrap it in that pink butcher paper. It's at 275 right now. Look at that.
Sure I can't get a picture of that right now?
Well, it's probably not even good. That right there might be. Look at that.
Oh, that's chewable there.
Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get my paper all ready out there. Oh, there's Luke. What are you eating? Don't eat the bugs, bro. Don't do it. So I'm going to go ahead and go in there and get that paper ready, and this is gonna be fun. And this is the first time I've done it like this. Is only my second brisket, so.
Right. Well, it looks good. You got it perfected. It looks like.
I'll save you a piece, man.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, look at this. Here's my garden. So we got some red bell peppers going there. And then we've got cucumbers here now. Neither of which I will eat.
You will not eat a cucumber.
Either way, so that's not happening.
That's good.
Well, Steve, thanks for stopping by, man.
Yeah, proud to do it. Okay,
so it's at 165 degrees now, and it's time to take this thing off and wrap it up in that butcher paper, so let's go ahead and take this thing out. Oh, boy. Yep, that is looking pretty good. A little bit dry right there, but ultimately, pretty good. Probably not the optimum way to do that, but well, you got it done. You know, I'm not much of a brand snob. It looks like the Traeger butcher paper is very good, but this meat hugger was on Amazon for, I don't know, probably about 2/3 of the cost or something like that. But anyways, it was actually really a good price, so I thought we'd try this one out, and it looks great. Ooh, doggy, look at that right there. Boy, that looks good. Some nice bark on it already. Hopefully that will get a little bit more barky as it's inside of here. Okay, so we're just gonna get this on here, over here like this. Gonna wrap this as tightly as I can. Yeah, I'm not gonna add anything to it. I think what I already had on there was sufficient. Got it all bundled up just like that. She's looking good. Okay, that's gonna go back on. I think probably about 2 hours at 275. All right. Oh man. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's gonna be good. For right now, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out, because I know that is gonna take at least an hour at that point to get where it needs to be. So we're just gonna let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and put that in there in about an hour. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and check this now. It's been in here for an hour wrapped up like this. And I'm going to check it with this first. Just one of these. Let's get in there. So the same hole that I used for that, I'm gonna put the probe in now. All right, so I set the probe alarm for 2:05, and it is at 165 now. As it's going up to its full temperature, just stick it in there in the fattest part, or thickest part of the meat. Well, I can tell you this right now. The entire neighborhood smells like brisket, and it just smells so good. I've eaten some of the little pieces that fell off of it before I wrapped it, and man, that bark is going to be good. So can't wait to taste it. It's, I guess we'll just wait until it's done. All right, well, we're at 205 degrees with the probe. So I'm going to go ahead and pull her out of there. Look at that. That is looking good. All right, so let's pull that out. I'm going to take this out of here. Just like that. And we're going to take this in, and I'm going to let that sit for at least a half an hour, okay? And we're going to cut into it, and we're going to see how I did. I think it smells really good, I'll tell you that. All right, so we've got some mashed potatoes made over there. They're instant, yeah, so what? And it's only two of us. It's easier to do that. So what we're going to do now is open this up. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's like a Christmas present. Look at that. Oh, man. That is super duper pretty. Now, I am certainly not an expert, and I'm sure I have a ways to go, but that looks pretty darn good. Yes, sir. Lift her up. Move that over. Right down into the trash. Okay, so again, not a big expert. I'm kind of new at this. This right here, I know my wife's gonna love because it's just like charred up right there. But so I guess the grain is going that way, and I want to cut against the grain, so we're gonna just go like that. Oh man, look at that. Oh, thank you, wifey, for doing the camera work here. All right, I'm gonna have a little bite. All right, now that is the tip. It's a little dry. There's really no juice coming there, but even that, I can see a little bit of juice there. Okay, why don't you come over here to this side, Carrie? All right, gosh. Now here's what I want to do. I want to give you a bite. I'm gonna flip this around, and you try that. That was good, huh? Okay, wash your hands there, and I'm gonna get the camera back to you. All right, so that's that piece. I know we like that burnt stuff at the end there, a little bit of burnt ends right off the bat. And I know this isn't exactly the best knife. Oh, that's slicing really nicely. Look at that smoke ring on there. Let me zoom into that. Man, that is nice. Okay, we're gonna get a couple more slices here. Probably should have some gloves. Man, look at that. Oh, that is nice, right? We're gonna go a little bit further in here. I'm just gonna cut. People that do this a lot are like, dude, don't do that. But I'm just curious if this little part here in the middle, because I know my wife is hangry right now, and she's like, I got to eat. So there we go, look at that. Oh yeah, so now this is the flat. So this would be on top of the point. So when you see people squish that juice coming out of there, oh man. So that looks legit to me, but look at this. Oh my gosh. And it's just, oh my God, that is like candy. All right, I think I've done pretty good. The combination of that meat church rub with some of my own and just everything that I put on there, you guys saw, is really good. I've never really done it exactly the same twice when it comes to a lot of my recipes, and this is probably one of those that's gonna be like that. But my second brisket, I'd say, came out really good. I'm just gonna lick that off my hands. Oh, it's so good. All right, well listen, I'm gonna plate this up with some, the mashed potatoes. They're nothing special. They're just some like Wisconsin cheese, whatever. But it's gonna be really good. Thank you so much for indulging me with some Traeger stuff here. And yes, I've had a couple of beers during the process. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Well, if you like what you see, hit that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, there is a red subscribe button down there. I'd really appreciate it if you click that. And if there's something that you'd like to see me cook on the Traeger, whether it's a picky eater challenge or whatever, let me know. Write down in the comments. I'd appreciate that. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Picky Eater Channel.